More than 500 people have now been charged in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And those cases continue making their way through the D.C. courts. We're getting fascinating dispatches from what's happening inside those hearings, right? Today, NBC4 Washington reporter Scott MacFarlane, who's been doing an incredible job following all this, reported that a judge in one of those hearings warned that a threat remains, saying, quote, the former president continues to speak out that the election was rigged or stolen, and the former president was part of the inspiration. Now, these are all happening in different courtrooms at different times, right? The only mechanism we have to kind of systematically understand what happened that day, to come to some official record, right, to stop it from happening again, is, of course, the new select committee announced by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Still pretty unclear exactly what it will look like. So here to explain what Democrats have planned is Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. He's the chair of the House Democratic Caucus and serves in leadership. Congressman, give us a sense of what the thinking is about what the select committee is and how it might look.
Well, good evening, Chris. Great to be with you. The fundamental purpose of the select committee will really be to determine the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in terms of what happened on January 6th, which we know was a violent attack on the United States Capitol, incited by the former twice impeached president of the United States of America. We want to figure out what happened in its entirety that day and in the months leading up to that fateful day, why it happened in its entirety, and uncover and recommend how we can prevent something like a violent insurrection from ever happening again.
Are there, number of members, time, staffing? I mean, I know those are fairly banal details, but they're going to matter a lot to what we're talking about here, since all of that was stipulated in that bipartisan bill that passed out of the House on a bipartisan basis and then was defeated by a Republican filibuster in the Senate.
Well, without commenting on myself, I think we can all be confident that, as the Speaker did in connection with the first impeachment team and the second impeachment team, Speaker Pelosi is going to come up with an extraordinary group of members who are highly talented, skilled, many of whom I expect will be attorneys, some of whom perhaps will be committee chairs. That's a decision that the Speaker will make. We've got full confidence in her. That it will be the best and the brightest for this task in terms of the House Democratic Caucus. It's my expectation that we will vote on the Select Committee to authorize it in the House next week, and perhaps shortly thereafter we'll begin to know what the composition will look like in terms of members appointed by Speaker Pelosi, and we'll see what horror show Kevin McCarthy gives us that we'll have to deal with, and we will.
Well, yeah, that's the other question, right? Obviously, there would be, unlike the bipartisan commission would have equal members, this will have more Democrats and Republicans, which means they'll control the committee the way they control committees, normal committees right now. Kevin McCarthy was asked today by a reporter whether he'd commit to not putting conspiracy theorists on the committee. Take a listen to that exchange.
Will you commit to not putting the members in your conference who are spreading conspiracy theories or trying to minimize what happened on the 6th on that select committee?
I was just with the Speaker. She's never talked to me about it. Haven't seen the structure of what she does or anything else, so I won't make any commitment till I go there.
Would you be open to talk about your conversation with Donald Trump to a select committee?
Well, I don't know that there is a select committee. The Speaker's never talked to me about it. She hasn't set the scope. She didn't tell me about it. I haven't seen anything, so I don't know what it is.
I mean, I guess that's the way out of the question, but there is going to be a select committee, and he is going to, presumably the minority leader is going to put Republicans on it.
I would think so, but, it wouldn't shock me if he chose Jim Jordan, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. He's got quite a collection of characters to choose from. And it's not my expectation, given Kevin McCarthy's past practice, that he'll do anything other than bend the knee to Donald Trump. In fact, we probably could expect that Donald Trump over the next few days will issue recommendations as to who he thinks should be on this committee. And Kevin McCarthy will follow those recommendations hook, line, and sinker. But that's not going to stop us from uncovering the truth and then presenting it in a clear, convincing, and comprehensive way to the American people.
I want to play Harry Dunn and Michael Fanone. Of course, Michael Fanone was the Capitol officer who was dragged into the crowd. He was surrounded by the crowd. Someone said, kill him with his own gun. He managed to sort of make his way back to safety after a few other members of the crowd sort of intervened on his behalf, and he was able to go back. Michael Fanone and Harry Dunn, who's also a Capitol Police officer, were actually lobbying on this and meeting Kevin McCarthy, talking about how they wanted this to be taken seriously. It meant a lot to them, obviously, and I want to play for you what they had to say.
It's a meaningful discussion. I won't go too much into what was said. We did ask for some commitments to take the Special Select Committee seriously. I think we all want the same thing ultimately, but how we go about getting it, I guess, is where the hiccup is.
In a lot of ways, this experience has been incredibly isolating. I'm sure Harry experiences some similar feelings, but I mean, I don't think I could go through physically walking these halls without him.
Do you think that lands with your colleagues?
You know, it remains to be seen. One thing is clear, that all the Republican talking points about being about law and order are really just phony. They're hypocrites. January 6th was about lawlessness and disorder. More than 140 officers were seriously injured. Some died in the aftermath of that violent attack on the Capitol. And many of my House Republican colleagues, including the House Republican minority leader, want to act like it didn't happen, that it was all wine and roses, notwithstanding the officers who continue to make the case in a clear way that it was far from a normal, simple tour of visitors in the Capitol. And so, you know, it's just hard to tell with my colleagues on the other side. But again, Chris, we can control what we can control, and we will take this select committee with the seriousness and substantive approach and solemnity that a violent insurrection and attack on the Capitol requires.